Hello, everyone. Before we start the podcast, I'd like to mention Pro Political Gear. Check out propoliticalgear.com for your political apparel today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Pro Political Pod. I am your host, Chris Caputo, alongside me, my co-host, Andrew Kornick, and we're ready to spread some news.
Starting things off, another update to the Trump indictment situation. If you haven't been aware, the district attorney that's kind of operating this case, Alvin Bragg, has been subject to a lot of political attacks from the right, particular, obviously, right? Going after their guy. And a lot of these attacks, obviously, pretty personal in nature. There's people posting pictures of family online. There's accusations constantly that he's kind of backed by George Soros, kind of like anti-Semitic undertones with that criticism. So, obviously the right's not happy, and they're gonna take out all their anger on the guy kind of in charge of what they see as like wrongfully attacking their guy. And among these is I think like a hearing committee being formed in the GOP controlled House basically to investigate the indictment. They're trying to like find any little thing they can to make it illegitimate, have people not trust the process. I will say that despite that, the majority of American voters, including independents and even like not even less Republican or even more Republicans than you would expect, do support, do think Trump. So that is a pretty important thing. So obviously the GOP, they want to kind of twist the narrative on that and make this seem illegitimate. To the extent that it'll work is yet to be seen. But despite that, that's enough for Bragg to come to the conclusion that he's gonna try to like handle this in a professional manner. He's also suing Jim Jordan, kind of one of the main leaders in this effort to kind of put instability and lack of trust in this process. So it's a really crazy time, honestly. I mean, there's it's not every day, obviously, that someone with as much power as a former president gets indicted, and the implications of that usually are pretty dire. And Trump, in particular, as we talk about, I mean, he kind of like built this narrative of he's like going after the system and they want to take him down and stuff like that. Obviously, he's a very corrupt guy. I mean, I think most people, even a lot of Trump supporters, that he's probably committed a lot of crimes in his life. So it's not the most outlandish thing that of all people, he's going to be the one to have random just corruption crimes and stuff that'll come out against him. So I think, knowingly paints that picture of himself for a long time. So now when the chickens are coming home through him while these guys are coming out, now you can turn around and say, oh, well, they were always going to do this, illegitimately, unfairly, etc. And it kind of does stink because how much influence he does have, at least over his own people, that there is going to be constant narrativizing, vision, and muddying the water. It's not surprising, but it's fortunate, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Bragg is really going after Trump. He's going to go after anyone that gets in his way of this investigation. And it's going to be really interesting to see uh, the fallout of it, the aftermath. We're kind of seeing a little bit of that, right?
Hmm.
But nothing confirmed. Like, he's not in cuffs or anything. And I don't know if we're going to see that.
I
He
don't think
may
he will, but I think more and more indictments will come just because of how
That could
much the amount of
happen.
cases that he's being investigated for. I think that's the most likely outcome.
He he might want to. I saw I don't say I totally read it. I was reading a little bit of an article. I think it was Forbes, and they were saying how Trump. This is when he first was getting arrested. When he showed up in New York, like what was it, a week or two ago, right?
Yeah,
Last week, and it said that he might want to go out in cuffs and try to make it like a whole scene.
that's
Because it really
possible.
amps up like people when they see
Yeah,
that. It's
I
like,
saw a
oh,
little
like
thing
what's
where
going on here?
apparently his team is selling like shirts of like that's like photo of him like a mugshot kinda, but he never got like
You
an actual
know, you
mugshot.
know what's funny about that? I
What?
never saw it. I never saw any of those. But my grandparents would tell me about that because they were watching the news and they were saying, "Oh, look at this! They're selling, Trump as a mugshot and they're selling it as a T-shirt." They were
Yeah,
showing
so
that. Yeah,
I think it's definitely the case that he likes this show, and I think there is an also kind of playing into what I was saying earlier about how obviously he's gonna play up this narrative that he's being chased by, the corrupt establishment or whatever. So him playing that up is definitely like even with merchandise and the idea of him wanting kind of to be cuffed up and stuff like that. But I think most authorities aren't gonna really go for that, and I think that also kind of bodes against the idea of him actually being like locked up, because it's like yeah, like I think as much as a lot of these institutions probably do hate Trump for legitimate and illegitimate reasons, I don't think they want to say that a modern president was arrested and is in jail. Now, whether or not he should be is a whole different thing. I mean, you've heard me and Chris's spiel about that.
Yeah, you already heard us feel
Yeah, so
on
it's
if they should be in jail and why and all that other stuff. I
yeah,
mean,
lots of corruption in the government. I mean, that's pretty. I think most people know that on a basic level, to the extent to which it's like to the extent to which you know this in terms of the specifics, I should say it can vary, I guess, based on person to person. But the general vibe, everyone knows government is corrupt, right? But yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's all I have to say about that. You have anything
yeah.
more?
I really don't have anything to add to the Bragg case. I mean, the only thing that, like I said, is going to be very interesting is seeing the turnout. Apparently, there was a small turnout in Washington for CPAC, right? As you know, as you've seen online, and I had no idea because I walked in there, it was my first time. So like, oh wow, people like Um, the only thing that I saw when I got there is like I felt like merch wasn't really selling off the shelves, but it'll be interesting to see how many people show up to the next CPAC.
If this will like motivate people,
Yeah, if this is gonna motivate people
I
and
don't think
see how.
so. I think
Well,
I,
I mean, it
I
also
think it's
depends on
gonna.
where it is too.
Well, yeah, but I'm like in general, I think there is kind of like a floor for this stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Or there's a ceiling. Not a floor is like the base. Like a ceiling to how many people are really
ceiling.
gonna like jump onto this and like follow this hook, line, sinker from their perspective. Because like I mentioned, I mean the majority of Americans in general like don't really buy this, including independents. So it's like how many independents is he really gonna realistically gonna be able to peel off or get to follow him?
Well, that's the
Because a
problem.
lot of the
That's
bridges he's been dying on lately are so unpopular.
Yeah, I think the independents. I don't know if they're gonna go for him this time round, but I do think though that CPAC is gonna have more people the next CPAC that happens, which
Oh
is
yeah,
another one
I
that
don't think
usually
that's
happens in
really
the
indicative
summer.
of too much though. Besides, I guess like like we've been saying, I think it helps him in the primary the fact that he's like indicted, which is like
Yeah,
insane. But yeah,
look at look at how many people were there for the protest. They were protesting him being arrested and all that. And you had Marjorie Taylor Greene that went down there. You had George Santos, which is hilarious. It's like he's the worst guy to advocate for anything. Like imagine
well,
saying,
it's interesting
like
because of the way the dynamics in the GOP play out, like he's more inclined to be like that now because they don't care. They want people just to toe their line, so he's just going to do it even harder because he's such like a blatant fraud that no one else is really going to accept him.
that's true, but it's like he could do that, but is anyone gonna buy his grift?
It's not they don't have to buy it. They just like the support. You know what I mean?
No, I'm not talking about the politician. I'm talking about the people.
I think among people who are already kind of like in that field, some of them, not a lot of them, of course, but I think if you're like when you're kind of just concerned with the goals and you fully believe like all the narratives and stuff on the right, I think then you probably basically feel the same way the politicians do, where it's like this guy's like probably an idiot, but it's helping us at the end of the day.
Mm,
I think there's a
yeah, I
decent
mean,
amount of people.
there's some.
Yeah. And I mean, there's probably others too who probably just are like, oh, they're spearing him. So there's a lot of variance. That's
True.
not to say he's particularly popular. He might not even be popular among like the far right, but he's playing with them. He's placating to them.
I mean, that's another situation. That's like I can't wait to see like what happens with that with the whole George Santos thing.
Yeah.
So a lot going on there.
Another person, by the way, who's committed a lot of crimes and is definitely going with the.
Oh man,
They're
yeah.
going after me.
But I
But
mean, I think most people kind of look back and say, "Yeah, we should go after this guy."
yeah, I think he's much more like he's much less powerful.
Yeah. Well, he's much less. Well, he's less powerful, and also like I'm talking about people in general. I'm not talking about politicians going after him. Like
Yeah, I
people
mean, if
are
he, I
upset
would be shocked if he got reelected. I think
if
he
he
won
got
a swing district as well. I'm pretty sure.
yeah if he got reelected. I think
Like whoever
I don't
ends up,
even know what to think.
yeah, honestly.
That would be insane to me. It really would. I would not expect that at all. But well, on the whole Alvin Bragg situation, like I said, yeah, I'm good on that for now.
All right. Well, I guess we'll talk about it if anything new comes out from it. But and
Oh yeah.
things that actually just came out this morning. But there, we were gonna talk about this already, but it actually got announced officially. Tim Scott, Republican, the only Black Republican senator. Um, yeah, so he launched his exploratory committee for president. If you don't know, an exploratory committee is not the same thing exactly as running for president. He's not fully committed to running. I think it's mostly like a technical difference because he still basically has like people like who are gonna like working for him, and he has offices set up, and they're kind of researching if it's worth it for him to run. Basically, that's like the point. It's pretty common practice. He's also like one of the most like most people when they talk about the GOP primary, his name will come up a lot in like discussions on like online in the media about it. Um, the thing that makes it kind of weird for him is that Nikki Haley already announced that she's running, and they're both from the same state of South Carolina. And traditionally, like
Ooh.
the states are kind of like a big thing because that's where you get a lot of your initial support is whatever state you're elected in. So having two from the same, and they occupy kind of a similar lane where it's like they will play along with like the far right Trump type stuff for to a point, but at the end of the day they are about like kind of towing like the rich people's line. Like that kind of makes him and her different from like say Trump or Taylor Greene or even DeSantis to an extent where they're more driven by like the culture war stuff. They're more driven by the big business aspect of the right. So, and they also like have the whole minority thing playing in for them, which me and Chris aren't really identity politics guys, but pretty much any like establishment like status quo party, which both the Democrat and Republican Party are to an extent or to a pretty massive extent, they both kind of care about status quo. So they both will use identity politics. The right
I
for
don't
a
know
long
what you're
time
talking
pretends they
about,
don't,
man. I think we liked Yang because he was Asian. I
but
don't. We don't look at policies.
yeah, this so they love so they'll put that up there. I think the first year Biden was elected, he gave the speech to respond to his State of the Union. Like this is one of those people that they're trying to push because like he's a black man and we're not racist, we're Republican. Um, and to the extent that that's really effective to like these days, it's kind of irrelevant. You see in Georgia, they constantly are trying to run like black men, like they ran what was his name?
In Georgia, Walker.
Walker. I don't know how I
It was.
forgot.
Well, I don't know how you forgot about
I don't know
that.
how I forgot. That guy was a tough,
Walker versus
but yeah,
Warnock.
like that was like and you see like these already elected like white GOP politicians put him up like be like this guy, he's a real fighter and he's black and he's a really smart guy. It's like you guys are like doing the exact thing that you
Well,
accuse
that's
Democrats of
how it
doing.
works, man. I mean,
Like
but
the exact, but it's like even worse because like it'll be like dumb bumper sticker like oh first black female gay trans whatever.
yeah,
Like these I guess it feels like they emphasize it more because it's like they have like 1 in a million, and it's usually like a black guy or female who's like Hispanic or a guy who's Hispanic. It's like so it's pretty like pretty like normie representation. I think most people in general like have more experiences with like racial minorities than sexual ones at this point. But yeah, I mean, identity politics is kind of like really his only claim to doing anything. And right now, I mean, most polling, he polls at like 1%. Like I was looking to see
he's a 1%er. He
he
is
really
not
he's a
going further
proud
than that.
1%.
Probably one of
I mean,
yeah.
maybe he'll go up to 2 or 3. Be
He's
actually
not
being
beating our
racist.
boy Perry. He's not beating our boy Perry.
No, Perry might actually beat him.
Perry Johnson's gonna beat him. You know he ranked third in the CPAC straw poll. He's going places, man.
He's probably the only person running that was there besides Trump.
No, not true.
Oh, Haley was there. You're
Vivek
right,
was there.
and
Haley
Vivek.
was there. They even put DeSantis on the ballot, I believe.
Well, DeSantis wasn't there.
No, but they put him on the straw poll, I believe.
Yeah, that's Trump con though. He's not winning that
Okay,
shit.
but guess what? Perry still pulled 5%.
True.
So
So,
listen, man.
I mean, but I will say, I mean, he's a 1%er. But I think the reason why he's even doing this, 'cause I think he knows that, like, him and his team know that there's no way this guy like can win at this moment, especially.
No, I don't think he can win at all. No, absolutely
But I
not.
think they know that, and I think he's really doing all this and signing this up just to like increase name recognition and to potentially be a part of the cabinet of the winner, presumably Trump. Being honest, um, who knows? Maybe depending on the calculus, Trump might choose him for VP. That's like possible, you know. And I think him doing
It's a
exploratory and
boring pick.
not straight up running. I mean,
Yeah,
listen,
I
man.
know, I know, I know, I know, I know. But
Like,
still.
yeah, I have to see his record on the whole stolen election shit because that's kind of like Trump's main like ride or die
Oh
now.
yeah.
'Cause he got so like pissy with Pence about that. But Haley already is like running against him and is already like kind of, you know, she's like kind of the worst of both worlds for someone in their kind of position because she won't actually make like a strong case against him because she's a cuck to just power period. But at the same time, she's still like she can't fully support him because she's running against him in a primary. So she is gonna have to be like, well, I'm younger and a woman, and you know maybe I won't say the election was stolen, but I won't fully deny that it wasn't. So it's like you're just being useless. Like you're just doing nothing. Better off you better have taken like however millions of dollars you spent on this race and just burning it. Honestly,
Just burn it. Yeah, I mean, I don't
like I
think
think he's
she has
playing
any
the
spot.
smarter move politically because he's at least being like, ooh, I'll put my name in the news, but I'm not gonna actually run.
Yeah,
And if
she's
he
putting
does
her
run,
name
then
in the
he's just a
news.
stupid because he might. I mean, these guys have crazy ego.
No, but these a lot of these guys, all these guys and girls, I honestly I don't think that they want. Of course, they want the position, but I don't think they go in it saying like, "Yeah, I'm gonna win." I don't think so at all. Absolutely not. This is just name
I think
recognition.
Haley is.
I think that in 2016 it was different because in 2016 we really didn't know where the party was going. There
I
was
think
no
DeSantis isn't announced, but he's probably like
direction.
he thinks he can win, and he has the best shot of saying that. I think Haley thinks she can win. I think once upon a time, Tim Scott probably thought he could win.
Once
Have I been
upon a
have I been
time, how
saying
many?
Tom?
Yeah, yeah, I think you said Tom.
It's
I'm
Tim
not too
Scott.
sure, but you know what? You wrote that in. You wrote that in the other day's show, and it wasn't him. It was like some. It wasn't even a politician. It was some random
Well, because
dude,
there's Tim Scott and there's Tom Khan, and that's
Tom
why.
Khan, and you get them confused. But where the
I
hell
mean,
is
it's like
this
Tim Tom, like
Tim
I don't
Tom?
know. If I've been saying Tom, it's not a joke calling him an Uncle Tom. I promise. I'll say
Oh, come
that.
on! Why would you
Well, because
say it
no, it's
like
like a
that?
thing. It's like a
Oh
thing.
man,
People do that. I
people
am not
do.
doing that in this very moment. No.
In this moment, he's
I
being a
won't
good
put it
boy.
past myself to say do it in the future, but at this moment, if I said Tom, it would. But but yeah,
Thanks
I
for the
mean,
clarification.
he can't win. Hopefully for his own sake, maybe he's just running to be like VP or some other cabinet position. But yeah, that's all I have to say on it. Is there anything you could add?
I think it would be interesting to see who else comes into this race because you know this race is maybe at the halfway point, being generous. I think a lot of
Uh,
people are going to start running. A lot of other people start running. Don't forget, dude, this is only 2023, but Trump started the cycle early because, you know, he's Trump.
it was
So,
rigged.
yeah, so a lot of people are going to be joining into this race. Absolutely. And like you said, to get a cabinet position, to just get their name out there, that's just the way it is. I mean, you look at the 2016 election for the Republicans, and I could tell you almost everyone that was on that debate stage. Like, I remember Carly Fiorina. A lot of people probably don't remember that, but like, it's just like one of those people where you see them, it's like, ah, okay, I know where they're from. They were from the debate, and it may sound stupid because like not everyone's gonna remember them, but some people will. So they do that. They do that to get their name out there. So especially I think she was a businesswoman, so it helps her business. I think the same case is being made for Perry Johnson. He has a business. He wants to grow it even further. He wants his name out there. So he's gonna go and he's gonna do that.
Yeah.
Um, I mean that's what they're there for, really. But in 2016, like I said, there was no sense of direction of where they wanted to go. The only sense of direction they had was don't be Obama. You know, so that was the only direction. And everyone on that Republican stage, obviously said he did this and he did that, and you had the whole rundown, and now it's gonna be the thing where we just we say the opponent's name every 2 seconds. We saw it in the Democrat debate. That Trump, he's a king. He thinks he's a king. He thinks this and that. It's like they do the whole rundown thing. So they did that in the Republican Party, and they had like what 16 people running, something like that. That debate stage
Yeah.
was filled, man, filled, and I think that you're gonna have another filled Republican debate stage. Now, of course, who has a
If they're
chance? Only
smart, it won't be
one.
filled for a long time.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Only one could win. Of course, only one can win the nomination. But that doesn't mean you can't win a spot on the cabinet or your name out there. So, like I said, there's a lot of reasons why people do this, and I expect to see more names getting thrown into the ring here. That's what I see it as. I don't know. How do you feel about like more names being thrown? Like, how many more names do you think are gonna be thrown?
I couldn't tell you. I mean, there's because besides DeSantis, there's Pompeo who said he would run.
Yeah,
There, I don't. I think Chris Christie said he was not running. So,
that guy's old news, but it'd probably be better off if he did run.
yeah. Let's see.
I don't remember what he said or if he made a comment on it, but I think his best shot was 2016 and it got shot because of like the
Oh,
last
Pence.
few moments.
Pence. He
Pence,
hasn't
that's right.
announced yet officially, right?
No, he hasn't. He just said there would be better candidates out there, which
Yeah, he's probably running.
we know he's running. We know he's
Oh, there's
running.
Asa Hutchinson. How can we forget Asa Hutchinson? He's running. He announced that he's running. Asa Hutchinson.
Oh, I totally forgot. But that's what I mean. But they'll be on the debate stage, and I'll be like, oh, I remember that guy. The guy didn't go far. He did a 0.2%. So I
Oh
don't.
God, Mike Rogers, Christy Nolan. These are some jobber.
Wait. Hold on. These are people that said they're running.
These are maybe. I just found like a site. I think it's the same site from last time. Oh,
If I
actually,
could,
Christy. I don't think Christy said he's not running. Said
oh, if I was able to play music, I'd play right now.
what?
You know what theme song I play? I play Vince McMahon's theme song. No chance. No
No.
chance no chance in hell. You've got because they don't have any chance. They really don't. If
Oh
the
yeah,
Trump,
Glenn Youngkin's actually someone that people have been saying a lot.
I think he said he wasn't though, if I'm correct.
I don't think so. I mean, he might have did the classic like, oh well, maybe not, but I gotta focus on
Mm,
Virginia type of bullshit.
I don't. I heard he said he wasn't gonna do it, but I could totally be wrong there. That one I did hear, but um, yeah, like I said, there's gonna be more hats thrown in. There's gonna be more names thrown into that hat. I'm telling you, and
Definitely.
it's gonna be interesting because a lot of them are just gonna be
Well, it's
like,
like you said, it'll be good TV.
yeah, oh, it's gonna be great TV as always, as every debate is nowadays. It's great TV.
Yeah.
So but actually going jumping
Staying,
from
staying
the
on
whole
2024 a little bit though.
yeah, still saying the 2024 election cycle. But the next thing I want to do bring up is that the Democratic convention and the Republican convention announced uh, where they're gonna have their convention. So in 2024, they're gonna have it in. Well, Democratic Party decided to go with Chicago, Illinois, and they're gonna be there from August 19th to the 22nd. And Republicans are gonna have their convention next year in 2024 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and they're gonna have it from July 15th to the 18th. Um, Anything you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, actually, I think that the decision to do in these states makes some sense. Less so for the Democrats, but similar idea. Midwest is typically where a lot of elections get decided, the Rust Belt, as it were, because they tend to be more swingy with how they vote based on like because most states are pretty set in stone, as you probably imagine. Though I will say, I mean, the Democrats tend to go with Illinois a lot. I mean, it's where Obama's from, so there's a lot of history there and a lot of established things. But for the Republicans, Wisconsin's actually a pretty smart choice because, based on their own internal polling in 2020, they felt like Wisconsin was like the only state they could really pick up compared to like, because in 2020 they were like it was a very uphill battle for them for a lot of reasons. So they were looking at Wisconsin as, hey, we could potentially gain this state and hopefully overperform enough to offset, how behind we are in terms of polling. Obviously, that didn't play out for them, but it's good that they're still kind of have that mindset of, okay, well, we're still going to focus on this state because there are some other states where they made similar strides. Ohio and Florida, most notably, they went from like purplish states to pretty decently red-leaning states. Like Ohio in the last election was considered basically like pretty Republican favored. 2020 for Florida was pretty close, but it's getting more red because of DeSantis.
Oh yeah.
So, um, and obviously, like for the most trends for the Republicans are pretty bad in terms of their map potential. Texas is an example of a state that's slowly getting a little bit more blue. Obviously, Georgia has been blue the last two election cycles. Arizona, so it's becoming harder for the Republicans as even the electoral advantage starts to go away for them. And unfortunately, I kind of wish Democrats had a similar mindset with it. I feel like they chose something that was more significant to their party rather than something that would work out electorally. I think Pennsylvania would have been a good choice in that section because Pennsylvania is a state that's
Okay.
trending blue, but isn't quite there yet. Like fully being like it's almost there. It's basically like it could be like Ohio for the Republicans the next election or two, where it was more of a swing state. They lost in 2016 pretty famously, but in 2020 they got it, and then in the 2022 midterm, obviously they gained a Senate seat and they have a Democratic governor as well now. So it could be it could have been a smarter choice, I think. Do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they should have definitely went with Pennsylvania, especially with the Fetterman win. Keep that
Yeah.
momentum. They could keep that momentum, and also they had, what was it, Governor Shapiro
Hmm.
that won, right? So I think to keep that momentum going, to take that swing state and to try and convert that to a blue state,
Yeah.
that
Even
would
Georgia
probably
would
be
have
in
been a
their
really
best
good one
interest.
too.
Georgia could have did well too,
Georgia's a little
but
bit further off in that process than PA is, so it might have been smarter, honestly, from an electoral standpoint.
there's a possibility. I mean, I personally would like it in Pennsylvania because it's easy for me
Well,
to drive to get there. Because I have plans to go there to both of them. I have plans to go to both of them. I have plans to go to Chicago, Illinois now. Listen, I never been to Chicago, so it should be interesting. And Milwaukee, never been to Milwaukee, so should be interesting. So hopefully I get to go. Um, but yeah, I Pennsylvania or Georgia could have been either or. I think the Republicans made the right choice going to Milwaukee.
yeah.
I mean, it was a close race in 2020.
Speaking of Milwaukee, there'll be something a lot closer to
Oh, yes, that's
this
right. That's
time.
right. You just reminded me. The first Republican debate will be held in August of this year in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So
Wow.
I'm telling you, I cannot wait for this debate. I cannot wait for it. And I think that there's something where there's an exclusive to online. Online it's going to be exclusive to Rumble, I think, where they have a partnership for it or something like that. I saw it's funny because right before we were going to start recording for the show today, which we usually do the previous day, we usually get it out early for you guys, but it's okay. You guys got a nice big episode yesterday, so I'm not even too worried about that. But before we go in to record, I was on Twitter and I was scrolling through and I saw that Rumble had an ad and it said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing the 2024 uh, Republican debate this year in Wisconsin. We're gonna be streaming it." I was like, "Oh shit!" So I'm telling you, Andrew, I think Rumble's growing as a platform. I really do think so. I really think that any content creators that go over to Rumble, I think that's not a terrible idea.
Well, I was thinking about that too, like what the ramifications would be while we were setting up, and I was like, I mean, it's pretty significant to have one of the state's major political organizations partner with you,
Yeah.
but at the same time, I mean, I think Truth Social is in a similar vein too, where it's like these platforms basically exist to just be like a more conservative friendly version of a platform.
Yes,
And I
but
mean,
I
that can
think
get a good
I think
amount of
Rumble
people,
has a
but
little bit um more of an audience than like a true social because a Rumble it's weird,
and
but
I
like
mean,
you'll see
does it?
people yeah, because you'll see people
And you
streaming
know how
games
many
on there. You're not gonna see someone streaming games and talking about video games on Truth Social really. If you download Truth Social, it's because you're into politics, usually on the
I feel
right.
like if you go on Rumble, you're into politics too, though. Like I don't really
I
like
can
all I
see,
see
but
from Rumble in terms of their outreaches.
I can see Rumble branching though. I can't see Truth Social branching.
I don't know. I just don't see it, especially because when you consider the streaming world, I mean, there's so many platforms that exist that try to take down Twitch or YouTube or whatever, and it's like they often fail. And this isn't just backed by like like all little like random irrelevant. This is backed by like stuff like Microsoft, like Mixer failed. you know,
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
like how is I just don't see a long term, especially because it's a pretty niche audience. Like politics isn't something that everyday person's gonna like want to consume
It's
daily.
been, I'm telling you, it's been getting bigger.
They're
It's
norm.
been
I mean,
getting
it's
bigger
getting
since
bigger, but
2016. You know that. You
how
know
big is
that.
it gonna get?
Oh, Andrew, you want to talk about the 2020 election? You want to know how many people voted?
I'm talking about Rumble, not politics.
You
And
just talked
also,
about politics. People in politics. A lot of people want to get
no, but
understanding
what I'm
of
saying is
what
that
they're viewing. So they're gonna go on
okay,
these sites,
and they can go
and
on YouTube and Twitter,
they
Facebook,
could. But if
and get that
Rumble,
understanding and
but if
Instagram. Like,
Rumble advertises and says, "Hey, we do this," you telling me that no one's gonna click on it? There's got to be somebody that clicks on it.
I mean, yeah, there'll be some people that will do it, but I don't think it's gonna be like a significant share. And also, too, when it comes to politics, not everyone is gonna want to consume every angle, every side, or want to watch conservative content too. So that's the other side of it.
Well, of course.
And I mean, like, I don't know, cause like I'm saying, like when you see like mainstream companies make streaming platforms
I'm
and
not.
get like
Yeah.
some of the biggest streamers of our time on their platforms, and they still fail, like I don't really expect Rumble streaming the Republican national debate to really be the thing that's gonna
Look,
give
I
like have
think
something to give like YouTube or Twitch a run for its money. I just
I
don't see
think
it
it
happening.
could. I mean, you look at red pill type content. I
Okay, but
think
even red
Sneeko.
pill
Look at Sneeko.
people,
He's now on Rumble. I don't
he's
think it
on
was a
Kick,
bad decision. Listen, I'm not,
he on Kick,
one,
or
huh?
wasn't he on Kick?
Kick? What?
Yeah, that's let's see that's the streaming platform Kick. It's
I think that's.
KICK, not the messaging app.
I was like, yeah, you got me confused. I don't know.
He was on that. Like they got him, and that was all. Like that was a whole thing too. And that's the problem too. I mean, like it also depends the longevity of this red pill stuff because like
The
Sneako's a
longevity.
good example of that because that not really not working out because the freaking owner of Kick was like in a call with him and he was like freaking being insane and like saying crazy crap.
Well, yeah, he does insane stuff. He does a lot of stupid things, but
But
like,
that's not advertiser friendly, so how is he gonna build a platform when, like, the main guy he gets to go there is, like, being, like, incredibly, like, not advertiser friendly? That's the thing, that's the other aspect when it
I
comes to,
mean,
like, because Rumble is a
yes.
platform for, like, far right stuff, even if it's not all of it, it's a pretty good portion of it. Yeah, I mean, even Twitter, like, they're losing advertisers because they've become more,
You want to
embracing
know
of that
something
type
about
of
Twitter?
content.
Actually, before we continue, I actually want to mention that NPR apparently is not doing stuff on Twitter anymore.
Yeah, I mean, and
Yeah, it
that's
just
a bit
happened
it's, like,
today.
complicated because it's also, like, Elon, kinda having personal fights on Twitter and, making, like, it harder for him to work with people. Even people that, like, a couple months ago he was working with, they don't wanna work with him anymore, that's a whole thing. But, yeah, I mean, just the idea where it's, like, when you're, like when you're doing, like, explicitly political and especially explicitly far right content, like, you're really like, you're limiting yourself pretty drastically. Like,
You are.
politics
I'm not
is
saying you're
getting
not.
bigger, sure, but it's not getting big enough. And when you talk about, okay, like, politics, it's not just, like, status quo everyday politics, it's, like, fringe stuff, and it's fringe stuff that people are gonna be like, "Oh, I don't want a piece of that."
I mean, of course, I'm not saying everyone's gonna sit there and agree with it.
Like, imagine well, it's not about agreeing though, because it's, like it's just I don't know, I just don't see it being popular,
I
like, I
mean,
really don't.
we'll see what happens, but right now, I mean, it's. I assume Rumble's
And also
doing well. They got a lot of people on the platform. Obviously, never gonna be as enough as YouTube as all, any other major platform, right? But
yeah,
it's still there.
let me look that up too, because like, I mean, even if they are doing well in the short term, I don't think it's gonna really be that.
You never know. The only thing I know is that it takes forever to upload a video there, so we don't really have everything up there now. I think we only have one episode up on Rumble. I advertise it below here. It says, "Hey, we're on Rumble," but it's like it's terrible to upload on there. I'm telling you, that's the only thing that's really like really annoying. But besides that, I see Rumble as a platform that, even though it's dedicated to right wingers, I do see it as a platform that can branch out a little bit further than that. I'm not saying it will. I can see it. I can see it happening.
It does appear to be out of like, the far like the right wing social media alternatives. It does seem to be the most successful of that brand.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I just don't ever see it breaking into the
I
mainstream,
mean,
I
we'll
guess
see
at
what
this point.
happens. I mean, I guess we'll see what happens with Rumble.
Yeah.
But
And I'm someone like me and Chris have like, watched YouTube, been on the internet like our whole lives. So and me especially, I've seen so many like platforms come up that it's like, oh,
come and
YouTube
go.
has all these problems and this and that. And we're gonna make a better YouTube that's more helpful to its creators or more more for free speech or we're not gonna delete your videos, etc. And then it's like okay, like people will go on the platform. Maybe it'll be like a little niche thing that stays around for a while, but oftentimes, I mean, they just go out of business.
You know what's the hardest thing with
I'm not
YouTube?
saying it'll go out of business, but I'm just saying like it's just never replacing the
No, it
established
can
social
never
media
replace it.
without like serious changes.
Oh, absolutely. It can never replace it. I'll tell you why. If you look at how-to video on how to get something done, what are you gonna go on?
YouTube,
All right, so it's like that's just right there. It's like why would you go on this new platform where they don't have this specific model TV set
it's
or
like
this specific model
unless
of whatever
like
the hell you're trying to figure
serious
out,
problems come
right?
up, I don't think anything too drastic is cheap.
Yeah. No, I don't think
Especially
anything
because it's
too
like
crazy with YouTube
like
is
I
gonna
mean like
happen where
wait,
they
why
get
would you go
off.
on Rumble like compared to YouTube? Either they give you a lot of money, or you want to like say crazy stuff that isn't really true, and you don't want to get like the platform for it.
Yes.
Like those are the two reasons why you'd use Rumble over YouTube at the moment. So it's
But
really,
to say that it won't grow, I think it can.
I mean, sure it can grow, but I think its ceiling is really small, like
Right
really low
now.
ceiling.
Right
I
now
think
it's a low
in
ceiling.
general it's really slow. No, they haven't
But
reached their ceiling yet. I think the ceiling is relative to where it will be. I mean, they could still get more, sure,
oh yeah.
but I think in the long run it's a really low ceiling. And then when you start changing, because here's the thing, it's gonna happen. they're gonna, they're gonna get their ceiling, they're gonna get all like their people like kind of consolidated, if not primarily using it, probably using it. That's like their so they're this is why I think their best case. They get all these people on the platform. Platform grows and becomes pretty, pretty successful, and then they want to expand as businesses do. And then they're like, okay, we're gonna expand and be bigger, and we're gonna get more advertising. And advertisers are like, okay, well, I don't want my video. I don't want my ad on a video that's gonna tell you that getting the COVID vaccine is gonna like kill you in a day or something. So then they're like, okay, well, we're gonna craft. Then they're gonna add more rules to their platform to make it more appropriate for advertisers. And then you're in the same situation again. But the difference is that so when they do that, the people that were there for the free speech shit are gonna be like, what the hell? Like, this is just YouTube. This is just big tech. Like, I don't like this. And then they're gonna like stop using it
And jump to the next, and then the cycle
and then jump to the
repeats.
next thing. Yeah, and then it just implodes. And it's like, okay, well, I mean, the normies aren't gonna leave your platform to a large degree, and then the people that built you are gonna ditch you. Like that's probably, or they're gonna stay like relatively niche forever. And I mean, that's fine if they want to do that, but I don't think it's gonna ever. That's what I mean. Like, it's never gonna be a mainstream thing.
I don't think it'll be totally mainstream, but it'll still be bigger than what it is.
Well, yeah,
I
I mean,
I
sure. I never said it couldn't be.
like we'll see what happens when they get all these people coming in on their platform, and like I said, the Republican
Or I mean, what
debate.
happened to Mixer, where it's like they're spending and spending all these like
Well,
people, but
they'll spend. Well,
uh,
they probably spend too much money. That's also another situation,
yeah,
right?
but I mean, Microsoft could have supported it, but they saw it wasn't worth it because they spent all this money to all these people, and then their fan bases weren't following them to the platform in a
Yeah.
sufficient manner. They just started watching other people on Twitch and YouTube. So, that's the other thing too with it.
Oh yeah. Um, but I definitely think that having the first Republican debate on there, and also before I mentioned about Rumble, it is going to be on TV. I looked it up. It's
Oh,
going to be on TV. It's going to be on Fox. And we don't
we'll
want
be
to
on Fox
say,
News. If you're
yeah.
watching this show
So
but somehow don't want to go on Rumble for the RNC debate, got Fox News.
you get Fox News, so it's okay. You don't give money to Rumble. You give it to Fox News. So you have that viewership there. So it is going to be on TV. So your grandparents could sit home, watch it without having to wonder about internet or how a computer works. They could watch it. Everybody could watch it. It's free access, basically. And
Yeah.
I'm sure there's gonna be live streams, other people streaming it.
Yeah, also all the clips are gonna be on social media anyways. Like, I feel like most people aren't even gonna watch the freaking thing live. They're gonna like
Well, we are.
see like the oh yeah, but they're
No one's
gonna
like
see
us.
the dumb highlights and like, oh my god, Trump said this to DeSantis.
He called him Meatball Ron.
Yeah, pretty much.
That would be hilarious. If he says that on the debate stage, I think he wins.
Well,
I
yeah.
think I think he goes up 10%.
Yeah. Can we get Trump at 80%?
Honestly, if he calls him Meatball Ron and says something else, and he calls him if he says my mini me, that's it. I'll lose it. It'll be hilarious.
Mm,
He calls him his mini me, but he won't do that anymore because he already set the divide between Trump and DeSantis, right? Like, oh, well, he voted against this, he voted for that. I didn't.
Mr. Yeah, he's trying to do the whole establishment angle.
So he's not going to do the mini me, which would have been great. I think it would have been fantastic, but I mean, whatever. That's the way he's gonna run it. And if if it comes out where the outcome is that he's gonna call Meatball Ron on television, I'm all for it.
I think that's all we have to say about this.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Um, oh
Got one more
man,
thing to talk about today.
yes. Oh man, it's painful. It is. So this may not be a big deal to any of you who don't live in New York City, but trust me, it will be a problem sooner rather than later. Okay? They're bringing back the robot dog. You heard me. They're bringing back the robot dog. And that's not the only thing that they have. Okay? Let me tell you what they do have. Diggy Dog, that's his name, is a RC canine robot for use in assessing hazardous situations. Now, there's three of these things. The second one may actually be pretty good. But the first one, the third one, not with it. But let me
Reading the
go.
second
Let me
one, I
go
think that's
on.
pretty bad too, but I'll say why later.
What's bad? I'm sorry.
I think the second one's pretty bad too, but I can talk about that when you're done.
It could, but it's so big and clunky that yes. Let me just read that. The Star Chase pilot will test a projectile that attaches a GPS enabled device to stolen or ghost vehicles. So it's like this big yellow and black gun that you just shoot at a car, and you see like this maybe the size of my mic, probably like this. If you're watching it, if you're listening to it, I'm sorry, but the size of my mic, it's probably like that, like from this point, and it's right. It goes right onto the car, and it just shows where the car is going, right, with the GPS. Now the third robot we got is because the second one's not really a robot; it's just technology. A K5 ASR pilot will help conduct automated patrol in confined areas. I think this is going to be the weirdest, most uncomfortable thing I will ever see if I ever walk into the city and see this shit is patrolling. I will lose it. I will lose it. Okay? I'm running. I'm running.
It's like the thing in like they have the Stop and Shops, but like on steroids.
They have some in
You know,
the Stop and Shop?
like the robots that walk around with the googly eye.
They have that?
Yeah, they have like a giant like robot that like kind of like has like a camera on it, and they'll put like googly eyes on it. I'm surprised I haven't seen
Oh,
those
oh,
in like
wait, wait,
any.
wait. The one that delivers?
No, like it's sorry, it's in the store. It's like it just goes around the store like in like certain in aisles, like making sure people aren't
No
stealing.
way. Yeah, that robot's gonna run out the door? Then that's gonna be scary. No one's gonna
No, like
rob
it's
shit
not
no
gonna
more.
chase people. It just like has it on video, and some of them will say like you're being recorded and shit. It's crazy.
That's how dude, there's gonna be a time where we're gonna have robots in the stores and everyone that starts looting, they're never gonna loot again. They're gonna be
Yeah,
so scared this robot's gonna come in and just tackle them. That's gonna happen. But anyway, let me
end
continue.
game.
So city officials say that the NYPD will acquire two robot dogs for a grand total of $750,000. This is why we cut funds for the library and everything else, right? So this was according to the New York Times. And that they will only be used during real life threatening situations such as bomb threats. I do think that that's not a terrible idea. But it's just a matter of what they could use it for besides that. You know what I mean? Like that's the scary part to think about. Um, but I think it's definitely good for when it comes to bomb threats because you're not using a person. A person won't die. But we've been doing this for ages, so it's um, But I guess it'll be safer. So we'll see that. So Mayor Adams said that the remote controlled 70-pound diggy dog will be deployed in risky situations such like hostage standoffs starting this summer. That's gonna be interesting. Can you
A
imagine?
hostage situation this
Can you
summer.
imagine being in a hostage situation like you're in a bank or something? And the guy's going, "Don't move!" And you see this thing just start running towards you, like this big yellow and black robot dog. What does it do? Does he just is it a transformer? Does it transform and it has a gun? It goes into a person. What can it do? If there's a guy with a gun, I want to know what it can do. Okay, that's the scary part. What can it do? So that right there will be very interesting and very scary at the same time. Uh, Also, we have another thing here. If you have a barricade suspect, if you have someone that's inside a building that is armed, instead of sending police in there, you send Diggy Dog in there. So these are smart ways of using good technologies. I believe this is quotes from Mayor Adams. Uh, and then, so that's Diggy Dog, right? Get ready for this guy. the autonomous security robot, which is the one that I referenced before, the K5 ASR pilot, which it's basically like a Roomba. That's what Mayor Adams was saying, right? It'll be deployed inside the Times Square subway station in a 7-month pilot program starting this summer. Police officials say. Can you imagine, like, you're on the subway and you see someone about to, like, push someone off, and you see this giant, like, it's big, dude. It's big. You've seen the picture, and anyone that's watching or listening to this, I want you to Google it. Google this thing. You'll see how big it is. It looks like something out of Portal, and like imagine it just
K5
standing.
ASR pilot.
Yeah, just imagine just it's sitting right there, and you're about, and this guy pushes is about to push someone off the subway into a train, and it just responds, "I wouldn't do that if I was you." Like, I would lose my shit. I'm like, oh my
Terrifying.
god. But what would it do though? It's like at least a cop would like come in there and be like, "Hey," and
I
then
don't
he
know.
would
What I
run to him and then
honestly,
grab him. But like, what
the
would the
most real,
robot do besides
the most
record it?
realistic thing, yeah, the most realistic thing I picture with this one in particular, with this situation, is this freaking robot like spying on people, like jumping the turnspike or whatever, and then like it being like red alarm, and like five cops like jump the guy freaking
That'd be
jumping like
hilarious.
75.
Oh my god. We didn't pay you 275.
that's,
Get him
that's literally
down.
like just what I just was screaming in my head when you were reading that. Um,
He,
like I don't know. I think this whole thing is ridiculous. I think it's stupid
oh
because
yeah.
the NYPD is already comparable to like a small military in terms of like what they have and like their budget and everything. Like like, it's a legitimate thing people say. Like it's stronger than some countries' whole entire militaries. Just the NYPD alone.
Really?
So like yeah. So it's one of the most overfunded police forces in the country.
That makes sense. I mean,
And
it's a big city.
it's a big city, but like I don't know. This is like a pretty strong argument that just like funding police more and giving them more crap to play with isn't really gonna help reduce crime, you know? Like there's more reasons people like end up in situations where they commit crime.
You
And
know
if any
what?
areas with more polices are more likely to have violent crime than with less. Like
Listen,
obviously it's kinda like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like a cycle in a way too. There's a lot of things when it comes to that. And but on in terms of the robots and stuff themselves, I mean, it just feels like you said, like they cut like mental health, they cut
oh,
libraries
they
and
cut a
all this
lot of
stuff, and then they
things.
waste a lot of money on this stuff. It's like,
Well,
can
you're
we focus on
telling
actually
me.
helping people compared to like sending out like super dog to, sparse a bomb threat that'll happen maybe once every like 25 years?
Listen. I'll put it this way: you're telling me if you are in a poor neighborhood, you can't afford anything, you're gonna go to the store and you're gonna steal something when you have RoboCop dogs staring at you? I don't know, man. I
Some
think
of them might still do if they're, I mean, if they're desperate enough, sure, I could see that.
they're gonna die. That dog's gonna have lasers in his eyes, just start killing people.
But I mean,
iRobot's gonna be a
is
real
that really
movie.
making things any better? I mean, that's the problem, right?
I do not like Listen, I love Star Wars. I cannot get enough of Star Wars. I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but you know, there's certain things that just it, we can't bring to the real life world because it's gonna cause just more problems. And you don't think about this until you get older and you realize robots. Yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. And then it goes into practice, and you see what they look like. You're like, oh wait, hold on. You know what? You know what? This ain't like the movies. Hold on, this ain't like the
Yeah.
movies. I don't want to do this no more. I want to give up. And that's it. You already said you wanted to do it, so that's it. Hands are tied behind your back. Your taxpayer money is going to that.
Trying to make IRL badniks.
Yeah, basically. So the iRobot dogs, they're out. They got two of them for $750,000. I don't know. Maybe it was a discounted deal. What can I say? We don't need libraries. We
For the
need
price of 2
robot
mental health
canines.
institutions.
Oh, mental health. I mean, just tackle them with a canine unit.
Yeah.
Um, but no, seriously, the other one, the big guy, it kind of looks like the Blob from like Monsters vs. Aliens. That's what it looks like, but like it's all white. It looks like something out of Portal. Like I said, I mean the thing is just scary. Like, can you imagine going like you make a turn and there's an alley and that thing is there? Like, I'd be
Your
scared.
chicken shit,
I'd be
yeah.
scared. I'd be running. I'd be running to to another state. I'm like, that's okay. You got it. You got it. It's okay. And I didn't even do anything wrong.
Yeah, and we're just talking about like the examples we're using are like practical, but yeah, like imagine situations where like the robots are wrong, you know? Especially we're still really early in this technology. Like how many people are gonna like be hurt because the robot does makes a wrong judgment, you know?
Oh man, that's gonna be something. So,
Like
we're not just gonna have police brutality. That's
robot.
lame. That's lame. That's lame. I don't want to do police brutality anymore. We're gonna do robot police brutality.
Yeah, it's
Nice neon lights.
interesting times we're living in, definitely.
Because
You
and
thought New York wasn't
we
enough
don't
of a
want to
police
say
state?
yeah we don't want to say that cops are bad. They're not bad, okay, but we do want to mention that police brutality, it does
We talk about
exist.
the institution and individual
It
people. I think
does
they're
it
different
yeah it
things.
does exist. Unfortunately, there are some bad cops out there, and these robots are not going to know all the time what's good and bad. And then the other problem that we get from that is that if we start building their emotions, we cannot give these things emotions. But I know that this is the timeline we're in, where we're gonna give them emotions. We're gonna give them all these things. Be like, oh, see, cops, they're so bad. Well, we're gonna make the robots good now. It's like you can't do that. It's just I don't see it working. I don't see it
Yeah, I don't
working well
even
enough.
think this is a place of that at all. I think they're just
Oh,
gonna
I
make
think
them
so.
do their function, and that's it.
I'm telling you, later down the line, they're gonna give them emotion. I'm telling you, it's gonna be a
I don't think
problem.
so. I
It's gonna
think,
be a problem.
I mean, maybe like private companies might do it, just like you see with the AI stuff, like the chatbots and everything
They
like
are,
that.
but
That's what they do. But
these private companies are gonna do
I
it. But
think,
who's gonna buy them?
yeah, the governments. But
That's what I mean. Thank you. That's what I mean. And it's like that's where we're going towards, and that's a problem. And listen, I would love to think that if Yang became mayor of New York City, this would not happen because he's, the whole
how we
AI
ran,
stuff.
maybe.
But maybe if he ran a smarter campaign, but Palestine and Israel, it's very easy to say that pick a position there that have this Dave Chappelle do a show for you. Like I hate that, but we are stuck with Mater Adams, and we are stuck with these K9 dogs that are robots, and we're stuck with the portal robot, and we're stuck with all this nonsense that I don't even think is gonna help us. And if it does, it does. But listen, if companies want to start doing this, like in a Walgreens or whatever, where they see someone's taking the whole aisle, they go in, they take like all the Tide and all the like deodorants or whatever, because those are the things that are locked up. You can't even go and get them anymore. Besides, like you lift the lever up on the clear plastic, and you hear beep beep beep, and it's like it makes that noise every time. I don't know if this happens anywhere else, but I know in New York it does. So you just learned something if you didn't know. And if they have these robots just there, just sitting there, ready for you to do something, and they charge out the door, I'm telling you, this could really be something when we get older. I'm telling you, it's there's gonna be sometimes where people can say it's good. It's gonna be like everything else. It's gonna have pros and cons, but once you give them emotions, it's all cons from here on out.
I think pretty dumb to focus on like robot policing.
Yeah, I wouldn't be for it. I am not for this. I am not for this at all.
Uh,
Um, I don't think it's gonna put us in a better position.
no.
But what do I know? I'm just a human.
Hmm, true.
So, and yeah, like I said, the AI stuff, the robot stuff, it's gonna be a big problem. It really is gonna be a big problem later on. So let's cut this out now before we get the chance. But we're not. So, for all you other states out there, stay safe. and vote against it if you have the option to. We
Yep.
didn't have the option here in New York. No option. Just gotta take it. We just love our cutting libraries and mental health institution for robot canines. Love it. Love every second of it. And yeah, that's all I gotta add. Anything else you want to add before head
I think we
out?
made our piece.
Okay. So this is our ninth episode, and next one is our 10th, which is like our first big like woohoo. So uh thank you for being on the early ride with us. If you're watching it, well, I guess within this year, this
Eh,
month, be on the early ride, the early journey. Thank you so much, and we will see you next time for a nice big double digit episode, which I can't wait for. Should be fun.
all right.
With that, everybody, have a good day, have a good night, whenever you're watching this, and we will see you all next time.
Stay safe.